The main Megazord is usually formed from 3 to 5 individual Zords. However, in some cases, a few of these Zords aren't actually essential for forming the whole body. Essentially, they just add small details like ornaments, wings, or simple pieces of armor. Some of them can step out of the formation without messing up the main body. So here's a look at those Zords that only form a small part of the main body in their default Megazord formations. The first one is Pterodactyl Dinozord from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 1. Basically, the Pterodactyl Dinozord only forms the chest plate in the Dino Megazord formation. It doesn't make up much of the Megazord, since the other 4 Zords form most of the body. Even without the Pterodactyl, the Dino Megazord can still form a full giant robot. This is also proven in the Dragonzord battle mode, where the Dragonzord only needs the Mastodon, Triceratops, and saber-toothed tiger to form a complete Megazord. This Zord is the smallest and plays the least important role among the others. So yeah, the Pterazord is pretty much just an extra piece, mainly to make the Megazord look cooler. If the Tyrannosaurus Dinozord's chest design were tweaked a bit, the Pterodactyl Dinozord honestly wouldn't have any real role in Megazord combinations. Next, Firebird Thunderzord, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 2. This one is similar to the Pterodactyl Dinozord from Season 1 that we talked about earlier. When forming the Thunder Megazord, the Firebird wraps around the Red Dragon Thunderzord's waist, forming the kilt and belt. This part is also relatively small compared to the other 4 Zords. Essentially, this Zord just completes the Megazord's look, since it doesn't make up any main body parts like the arms, legs, or torso. The same goes for the 6th Ranger Megazord, where the Firebird simply turns into a weapon on the right arm, rather than being a main component of the body. This Zord is also the smallest of them all, and interestingly, it's still piloted by the Pink Ranger of that season. Even though it doesn't have a huge role, the Firebird Thunderzord's design still looks awesome. Armadillo Wild Zord, Power Rangers Wild Force. The Armadillo Zord is the smallest of all the Wild Zords. It usually teams up with the Rhino Wild Zord to form the Striker mode. The Rhino Zord forms the waist and both legs, while the Armadillo fills the empty space in the right leg. This setup applies to all Striker Megazord formations. Basically, the Rhino Zord can still support the whole Megazord even without the Armadillo. You can clearly see this during its ultimate attack, when the Armadillo rolls out of the formation and the main Megazord runs as if it's dribbling a ball. Yep, the Rhino Zord is actually strong enough to form that leg on its own, but unfortunately, we never see that happen in the series. Pterazord, Power Rangers Dino Thunder. The Pterazord only forms the helmet or crown and a bit of chest armor around the Tyrannosaur's head in the main Megazord. That piece of armor can actually be detached and used as a boomerang sometimes, but aside from that, this Zord doesn't do much in the formation. In fact, there's an episode where the Thundersaurus Megazord is formed using only the Tyrannosaur and the Tricerazord, and it still fights just fine even without the Pterazord. Actually, you can see the same thing with the Replicant Zord. That formation is only made up of 2 Zords, which are basically redesigned versions of the Tyrannosaur and the Tricerazord. The Pterazord doesn't really do much when it comes to forming the Megazord. It's one of the main Zords that can be left out of the main Megazord and is truly shown that way in the series. Next, Power Rangers Mystic Force. In the main Megazord, we've got Mystic Garuda, which basically just forms a pair of wings. To be fair, the Megazord looks awesome with them, really sleek and complete, at least visually. The wings do come in handy sometimes, especially for flying, and can even become a shield in certain situations. Mystic Garuda basically just makes up the wings and doesn't contribute to the main body of the Megazord. So, in theory, it could be left out of the formation, even though that never actually happens in the show. The same thing happens with the Manticore Megazord, which is formed from Mystic Lion and Mystic Firebird. In reality, the formation mainly comes from Mystic Lion alone. You can clearly see that Mystic Firebird only forms the wings at the back, and even though the Megazord's head has a bird-like design, it actually comes from Mystic Lion, not the Firebird. The Mystic Firebird doesn't have much impact on this formation. It's mostly only used when performing its ultimate attack. Speed Driver and Gyro Driver. Power Rangers. Operation Overdrive. In this series, the main Megazord can actually be formed using just 3 Zords: Dump Driver, Sub Driver, and Dozer Driver. Dump Driver forms most of the body, including the legs, torso, and even the head, while Dozer Driver and Sub Driver make up the arms. That's already enough to create a fully functional Megazord. However, since there are 5 Zords in total, they all have to combine somehow. So Speed Driver forms the chest armor, and Gyro Driver basically becomes the crown or helmet. Speed Driver still contributes something meaningful, but Gyro Driver barely does anything at all. The same pattern appears with the Battlefleet Megazord, where the Battlefleet Zords 16 and 17 only serve as additional armor. But it's not a huge deal, since the Megazord is essentially built from a single Zord anyway, a giant battleship, but for some reason they were split into 5 separate Zords. Next, Power Rangers Ninja Steel. First up, we've got the Kodiak Zord in the main Megazord. It only forms a small part of the left leg, basically just an ornament. Both legs are actually made entirely from the Zoom Zords, so the Kodiak doesn't really add much. It just sort of rides along on the back of the train section. Honestly, if the rear locomotive of the Zoom Zord had never been opened like the first time it was summoned, the Kodiak Zord wouldn't even be needed in this formation. Basically, this Zord could leave the formation and it wouldn't affect the main body. And in the Ninja Blaze Megazord formation, there's the Falcon Zord, which only forms the crown on the head. That's it. It's just a little decoration on top of the Megazord's head, and it's not even clear what it's supposed to do. Even though it's piloted by the Red Ranger, this Zord doesn't actually become part of the main body. Yeah, the Falcon Zord is really useful in solo battles, but it doesn't contribute much to forming the Megazord. With or without the Falcon Zord, the Ninja Blaze Megazord is still perfect and works just fine. Condor Galactazord. Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. So the last one's kinda tricky, guys, since it only forms a small part of the main body. In the Galaxy Megazord formation, the Condor Galactazord mostly forms the wings, which can also be detached and used as a missile in certain situations. Meanwhile, its small legs are the only parts that form the body, primarily around the lower waist area. This Zord is barely noticeable in the formation, especially when the Galaxy Megazord is facing forward. Honestly, the Condor Galactabeast is pretty huge compared to the other 4 Zords. It's even bigger than the Wildcat, Lion, and Wolf in their own Zord modes. But somehow, it ends up smaller in the Megazord formation. That's it, guys. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss the next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.